Hello everyone, Gaara here and welcome to a brand new video. It has been 1 week since the balance patch 9.1 and in today's video I want to talk a little bit about the effects of that balance patch on the meta, on the ladder, what I think about it. So let's get right into it. So first things first, the overall class popularity on ladder. What has changed? Do we still have 60% druids on the ladder? Nope. It went down to roughly 17%, we can say 20% to round it up. So the druid popularity has dropped to a third of before the balance patch. I would consider this a success. It is this low not because Jade Druid is unplayable, I would say because Aggro Druid has pretty much died. In 1 week with playing every day, I have not faced any Aggro Druids, and before the nerfs I faced a lot of Aggro Druids, and Aggro Druid hasn't been changed that much whatsoever. It is really only the inner weight that hit the Aggro Druid, which is really interesting. The deck was already pretty weak to priest, I would say, but it was very good versus the other aggressive decks. But now we have like less aggressive decks on the ladder and it got nerfed, so overall it's just not that good to play Aggro Druid right now. And it was also mainly played to counter other druids and to give you like the mind games. If you're faced a druid on the ladder, you can just get punished by mulligan wrong, because it was a 50% chance to face Aggro Druid and a 50% chance to face Jade Druid. So it was very, very scary. Like you keep a Skulking Geist and then he goes Innovate Fledgling, you lose. Regarding of that, probably a huge success. Way less druids, it's way less dominant on the ladder. It is not unplayable, still seems playable. Like the faster Jade Druid versions, people still have to like come up with the best lists for that. I mean, it has been only 1 week since the nerfs, so plenty of more time to go. There's 20% priests and 20% rogues, so 60% basically those three classes, and the other 40% are like very evenly spread between the other classes. So in terms of like class disparity, there's a pretty good spread, and I guess if you would just look at that, we kind of have like a somewhat balanced meta, or like roughly even meta, nothing like too dominant. I think that Razaku's Priest is by far the strongest deck in the game. It's just that not many people are playing it yet. I think the percentage of priests is going up slightly every day, and I think after 1 month we will have way more Razaku's priests than we have now. I expect at least like 40% priests on the ladder. People, I think, are just playing a lot of different decks because we don't have like such a dominant class that pushes out so many classes like this badly. I think Razaku's priest has the potential to do the same, but because there's only one archetype of priest, maybe because of that, like Druid had 2 very dominant archetypes, Aggro Druid and Jade Druid, so people really didn't felt like experimenting or playing other classes. I see more people trying to come up with new creative Warlock lists, all sorts of different Rogue lists and Mage lists, and that is mainly just because, you know, one class is not that super mega powerful and they feel like they have a chance at beating Priest. That's always the thing with Priest. You always feel like you can beat it, but in reality right now the deck is just insane. So speaking of Priests, a lot of people have predicted Priest to be like the strongest deck, just according how the nerfs play out. The counters to Priest get nerfed, Priest is completely untouched, and it was already a tier 1 deck before the nerfs. I think we have that. I predict also Priest to be the most banned class in future tournaments, just because it's the strongest deck. And is that good or is that bad? I think Priest is like extremely boring and non-interactive whatsoever. The Priest player usually plays solitaire, doesn't really care what he's facing and what his opponent does. You basically only spam your card draw cards and you try to hit Razan 5 and Anduin on 8 and you win. If you face a priest and he has the Razan 5 and the Anduin on 8, you probably lose with any deck, whatever you play. There's like decks that can counter the priest, like mill decks, and you know, if you run Double Dirty Red, you can pull like the essential pieces. But you know, then those decks are super vulnerable to a whole group of other decks that kind of sucks. It's not like unbeatable, the priest deck. It's just that it's absolutely no fun to play against it. It's definitely too strong. The Razakus Anduin combo. Pretty sure Blizzard knows that. Pretty sure Blizzard will not do anything about that. Yeah, I expect that deck to just stay the strongest deck in the game. But for now, like, not that many people are playing the Razakus Priest, so that is fine. What other changes have happened? Pirate Warrior has pretty much died out from what I've seen on the ladder. Some people are trying to come up with new Pirate Warrior lists. The Prince Kalesev Pirate Warrior with a much slower version, and I think it's actually the worst time to try to build a Pirate Warrior. Not just that Pirate Warrior got nerfed so many times now. I've never faced so many Golakka crawlers on the ladder as right now. I would actually go as far as saying we have Golakka Stone Heroes of Crabcraft right now. Like, pretty much every deck is taking 1 or 2 Golakka crawlers. Even the new Jade Druid has double Golakka crawler. Like, all the control Warlock lists play double Golakka. Like, Priest plays, like, almost every deck, even the aggro decks play Golakka crawler. The main reason for that is probably the Rogue, the Elemental Rogue. It is crazy powerful. It's kind of like the new strongest aggro deck, and it plays a lot of pirates, and you can counter it with the Golakka, and a lot of decks can just afford to play Golakka. So, but this really pushes a lot of the aggro decks out, like way less Hunter, way less Shaman, and for example, my newest token Shaman list doesn't play pirates just because there's so many Golakkas. And so Pirate Warrior got pushed out even further. Like, the nerfed Pirate Warrior is completely gone because of the popularity of Golakka has risen by so much, and Aggro Druid as a result also died out completely. So those are like big changes. Murloc Paladin as well. Those were like the 3 most popular aggro decks on the ladder, and they all are pretty much gone. You rarely face any Murloc Paladins. I mean, they just naturally lose to Razar Priest, and the anti-aggro control decks we have now, they're very, very powerful against the nerfed aggro decks. So much less aggro right now, that's for sure. And Rogue has kind of replaced it, but Rogue is really being kept in check by that many Golakkas, but there's still like around 20% of Rogues on the ladder regardless. Facing that Rogue deck is very similar to the Razar Priest. It's kind of non-interactive. Today I faced like 3 Rogues that went Prince Kalesev into Shadow Step, and you can just concede. I think I conceded turn 3 because they pulled a 4/4 patches with the South Sea captain, and what you gonna do about it? I played like a token Shaman, you just lose. So you just concede. They have it, you concede. It's kind of like draw RNG. I don't know, you play against Priest, you know the draw. They have always the answer for your board. They play Razar, you know you will lose the game. And it's very similar to playing against Rogue. So it's like more different classes you're facing. But when you think about Rogue being 20% on the ladder and Razar Priest and also 20%, it's like 40%. So every other game you play, it's kind of like just decided by draws very heavily and very early in the game. I want to summarize it once again. I think Razakus Priest, as most people expected, is the by far strongest deck in the game. It's not played as much as the Jade Druid before. Jade Druid was nerfed by a lot, and Aggro Druid has died. All the previous aggro decks have kind of been killed in a way, or just kind of like left the meta because doesn't feel great to play them right now. And Jade Druid is definitely playable, but it is much weaker than before. I think we have room for a lot of different control decks, but Razakus Priest is really keeping all the control decks in check just because it's the strongest control deck, and this is like naturally, if you have like a slow meta, then the strongest control deck will kind of be preferred over the other control decks. Overall, it's a better meta for sure than before. Does it feel more fun? I'm not sure, because you know the Prince decks, which are like very popular right now, there's so many Prince decks, and they really come down to they draw the Prince on turn 2, and then the power level of the deck spikes by a lot, and on top of it they play patches, so hitting the patches gives you a power spike, and playing the Prince gives you a huge power spike in win rate. But that's just luck, draw RNG. I don't think we have like that much more skill in that regard, but overall it's definitely a better ladder experience than before, just because we face different classes once in a while, which is nice, and to go away from the Druid Stone. And finally we're getting the match experience against classes like Warlock and Hunter, which is quite nice to see. So the biggest problem I would say with the nerf is I feel like the hype has died completely, you know. In the beginning when the expansion came out, people wanted to play the game. New expansion, cool, everything is awesome, right? And then if we had nerfs much earlier, we would still have like this hype. Now it's like, it's so late. We got the nerfs after, I believe, 40 days into the expansion, and then like a lot of people quit the game, and a lot of people are kind of like, you know, kind of waiting for the next expansion. Now having the nerfs, yeah, the game is better, but the entire hype died. So I think it would have been much better for the game and for the community if we had the nerfs much faster. So that's my take on that. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and see you guys tomorrow. Peace!